Duxton Asset Management is one of the largest direct investors in agriculture globally. We have investments, or we advise on investments in many countries throughout the world, including in Argentina, Jamaica, Tanzania, Zambia, DRC, India, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Laos, Philippines, Australia and New Zealand. We've also looked at investing and advising in many other countries globally. So we have a global reach and a global expertise. We do this across the agricultural supply chain, not just in direct investments into farmlands, but also into supply chain companies. And we also do it across a variety of instruments, whether it be debt instruments or direct investments into equities. The issue with agricultural investing, for direct agricultural investing, is that we have been the slave to the soft commodity price. What we see happening globally today is that we're heading into the situation of peak food. I use the term peak food because I use it as an analogy back to peak oil. If we take nearly any commodity and we take a 3-year average of the lowest supply that we have on the planet, or the lowest inventory that we have on the planet, and we look at what it was in the last 3 years and 10 to 13 years ago, we're roughly at the same level. So a lot of people say there is no issue with food supply. We have the food supply. However, in the same time, for most commodities, we've increased consumption by more than 50%. This means that the amount of food, or the amount of the commodity that we have available, versus the amount of demand from people globally, has shrunk to very dangerous levels. We feel that this will have the same effect as peak oil did, when people said we are running out of oil, we are running out of food. There is the same solution that there was for peak oil and peak energy. Increased energy prices led to increased production of energy. Increased prices of soft commodities, or commodities, will lead to increased production and more efficient production. This is why we believe people should be invested, because you should be invested with efficient producers of these commodities today. And when this happens, there will be a lot of value that can be created from this jump. What we feel for financial investors, they need to have a diversified portfolio and be exposed to many of the different variables, main variables associated with direct agriculture. This is different for a strategic investor who may be looking for a specific commodity or exposure in a specific region, who we also work with. But for the financial investor, it's important that they have diversification with regard to climate, because when we look at an investment, we look at the average year and the average weather. The only thing I can assure anybody is that there is no such thing as an average year. There will be better years and there will be worse years. We also look at the country risk, the risk around governments and agencies. Some of this can be negative. They can do things that will hurt your investment, but they can also do things that will improve your investment, such as we've had an example where there has been an increase in the amount of grants that a government has given us. The third is commodity. Whilst we believe for nearly all commodities in the long-term story, the supply and demand story, in any one year, commodity prices can be manipulated, or they can change rapidly for reasons outside of the control of the individual farm. In that basis, we think it would be wise for people to have their exposure spread across a number of different commodities. The fourth element that we look to diversify on is management. There are different management styles and different knowledge of management and different management approaches. So when you have different management styles, different approaches, you diversify the management risk. We invest broadly through two different styles. One of the styles is through the management buyout, whereby we identify an excellent management team and then we provide capital to that management team to expand the business. The second is where we identify existing players or co-investors who put up a similar amount of capital to us, and we invest together to grow the business.